What is up, guys? Welcome back to another psychology video. Now today we're going to be covering a topic that I really have not seen many people talk about, but yet it is one of the most crucial aspects of trading, and that is dopamine. If you guys do not know what dopamine is, it is that chemical that is released into your brain that makes you happy, okay? And the one issue with trading is the fact that it is so directly correlated. If you guys think about what you are truly doing, you are clicking a button on your mouse pad, one of the most lowest effort tasks you can do, and you have the ability to make a lot of money, right? Or any money, okay? And one of the things that does to you, that does to your head, is you start to get dopamine from clicking that button, okay? It's the same way that people get addicted to gambling, right? It's the same way that most people lose in trading because they are just gambling or they have that mindset, okay? The issue is, again, whenever you start trading, you always hear, or you hear from most people, hey, don't do it for the money, don't focus on the money, it will ruin you, okay? And that is one of the biggest things that people skip over, because when you are learning, yes, you might kind of realize that, okay, yeah, he's right, but then the second you start clicking the button, then you start getting those emotions, you get that instant dopamine release, you get that instant happiness or feeling, especially when you catch a trade, you get that green P&L and you instantly get stuck into that loop and you become addicted to that feeling that you receive when you get a winning trade, right? And you just start to correlate that a good trade is one that wins, that you net that green dopamine, that you net that green P&L, and a red trade is a bad thing, right? You don't get any dopamine from the red trade. You're bad. You're mad. You want to click that button to get more dopamine, to get that green P&L, which is going to give you even more dopamine, right? The point is, this is kind of how the cycle goes, and this is how people early on develop an addiction to trading. Why? Because they are addicted to that feeling, right? Especially right when you start trading, okay? You have a lot of dopamine. You have a lot of desire to learn. You want to start trading, especially when you guys pass your first account, or maybe you get your first account. You're excited to trade. You're excited. You want the money. You want the dopamine of seeing that P&L. You want to see that P&L move, okay? It is a obviously normal experience, but you have to remember that the second you let it take control of you, okay, you are just never going to succeed in trading, okay? You are never going to succeed because you are too addicted to that feeling rather than what trading actually is, which is patience and waiting and actual executions, okay? The part about trading, okay, is you are waiting for a setup that you execute on. Okay, everything should be in terms of trades. You are either taking a good trade, and what is a good trade? One that follows your risk management, right? Your criteria, your strategy, everything that you have outlined in your rules. What is a bad trade? Anything that does not follow that criteria, okay? There is no positives, there is no negatives, okay? There's no, green P&L is good, there's no red P&L is bad, because, obviously you can have a green P&L breaking your rules, and eventually what's gonna happen, it's all gonna catch up to you, and you're going to blow through everything, okay? And another way that a lot of people are addicted to dopamine, and you guys don't realize how truly addicted you are, is the amount of information you consume. Most people are constantly, consuming content, right? From a bunch of trading content, right? And then you go on Instagram, you'll see a bunch of P&Ls, and you'll go on TikTok and all this stuff. You're consuming all this dopamine. You're getting all this dopamine. And that is why most people, especially in the beginning, are prone to switching strategies, right? And it's like you want the dopamine and saying, oh, okay, if I switch my strategy, right? You think that this is going to fix the issue, right? And it's like, oh, you get the dopamine of a new strategy. You start learning a new video, right? You watch this 5-hour video and you get the dopamine saying, oh my God, I can't wait to apply this. This is the secret I'm looking for. And there's all these cheap dopamine hits that you can get as a trader. A lot of people, what will happen is they start getting dopamine from just an ego aspect, right? You'll see a bunch of people actually care more about catching an impressive looking trade, screenshotting it, posting it, right? Rather than making money, right? I know so many people, especially in high school when we started trading, a bunch of people that I knew or that I was friends with, literally, like, I knew they were not making money, but yet they would try to get like a picture for like their Snapchat story or something, like, you know, it's so stupid. And that's what was giving them dopamine, right? The issue about trading is obviously it is an internal battle. It is a battle you face with yourselves. But the issue is that battle is hard. The issues you need to fix are hard. Being disciplined is hard, right? Sticking to your strategy is hard. But you know what's easy? Those cheap dopamine hits. Clicking that button. You know, trading outside a terminal where you're not supposed to be trading because you're thinking about, hey, what if I just catch this trade? I'm gonna make this amount. Okay, going on Instagram, feeling better, seeing like P&Ls or letting P&Ls change or changing your strategy, right? Doing all these other things are easy. They're easy dopamine hits, just like clicking the button, just like pressing the button to execute your trade, just like breaking your rules. Another way to get that cheap dopamine is just watching another trading strategy video saying, oh, you know, I'm gonna change it up. You're gonna get the dopamine of the new strategy, and you can just hop from one thing to another and over and over and over again. There's so many ways to get cheap dopamine, especially, you know, in today's world, right? Every single social media, all this stuff gives you dopamine. It gives you an addiction. And then once you pair that with an already skill that you have to battle dopamine, it's just going to make it continuously worse and worse and worse. What you have to realize, once you get a strategy down, once you have a winning system down, okay, everything else you're going to face is going to be between you and yourself, okay? There should be no other external factors, distractions, any of that, okay? I will always recommend people, once you get it down, stay away from social media, stay away from, you know, content, stay away from anything that's going to have you second guess yourself and go for that cheap dopamine. Okay, maybe you'll see a good video and it's like, oh, let me change this up, let me do this. It is very, very, very easy for that to happen, and that is the biggest way to set yourself back as your trading journey, right? All of those things are distractions. All of those things are distractions, and deep down you know that, but it is so easy to take that cheap dopamine hit. The same way you guys fold and execute another trade. You just click that button once again. It is the same way with other aspects, okay? The issue is everything in life that is hard to do, right? Everything in life that is worthwhile, the way to achieve it is not by doing the high dopamine flashy stuff. It is by doing the boring stuff. And for trading, what that could look like is just sitting on your hands, watching it, right? Watching price, being truly confident in your system, your strategy, waiting, and, you know, maybe a couple days, right? If that's what your system says, and then executing. At the same time, you know, maybe you're going and you have other people that are talking about, oh, I made this much today, I made this much today. And you still have to stay within yourself and your own reason, not take that cheap dopamine, not stray away from your path, and actually just do the boring stuff, which is just clocking in every single day, a lot of the times not trading, not clicking any buttons, not giving yourself any dopamine release, okay? And just going through the motions month by month, and it slowly starts to compound. You start to get that snowball effect, right? Once you get in the groove of, hey, I'm just doing this boring stuff every day, I'm executing my system every day, and I'm improving. What you guys need to start to get in love with is the dopamine of following your system, okay? You guys need to start developing a dopamine addiction. Instead of clicking that button, there should be a dopamine addiction to, hey, when I'm patient, okay, when I'm patient and I take a good trade, that is what should give you dopamine. You should get dopamine from following your rules, from following your execution, okay? Not from clicking that button. And that is the way you want to start going towards. That is the approach you want to start going towards, is fall in love with discipline. Fall in love with your trades, okay? Go through your last trades, okay? For most people, if you go through your last 15 trades and you don't lie to yourself, because as traders, people just love to not hold themselves accountable and lie to yourself. You're like, oh, okay, well, I shouldn't have taken this loss, so it doesn't technically count. Oh, but this one here, there's a bunch of cokes, okay? If you are completely honest with yourself, look at your last 10 losses. I bet you there is at least a couple of losses that you look at and you're like, bro, this is the dumbest trade in the world. Why did I take this? That is what you have to cut out. You have to fall in love with understanding, hey, these are my good trades. These are the only trades I should be taking. These are the bad trades. These are the trades I have to eliminate. Once you start to work towards that, you're eliminating the bad trades, you're eliminating the cheap dopamine trades, and you start taking the actual good trades, the ones that don't give you dopamine, because it's like, hey, I know this trade, I know the setup, it always comes. I just have to wait for it and not take these distracting, trades that look appealing, or the fact that this P&L looks appealing, or all this stuff. Once you can just stick to that one thing, you start to develop an addiction to actually following your rules. Okay, subconsciously, it is still addiction to the fact that you are making money, because you'll realize once you follow your rules for a certain amount of time, once you follow your system, once you actually follow the boring stuff, that is when you make the most money that you ever have. And that is why you begin to develop that addiction to the actual trades. You develop a dopamine addiction to taking good trades rather than the P&L, rather than clicking the button, right? And this is what you have to work towards as a trader. You have to work towards the, dopamine of a routine, right? Same thing as if you're lifting, right? If you're really locked in, right, you have this routine daily. It's like, okay, you're eating good, you're lifting every day, you're getting enough recovery, all this stuff, and you become addicted to that grind. You get dopamine from doing the stuff you should do every day. Yes, you might get more dopamine if you have like a cheat meal, right? Obviously in the moment, but then right after you're like, bro, like I just failed myself. That's the same way with trading. And again, it is hard, but the second, this is what I will always tell people, and this is why I'm so frustrated. I've had countless amounts of people that I know, if they could literally just stick to their system, and for most people, it is that over trading, it is that clicking that button again. Most people that I've seen, if they could literally just click 2 buttons, lock themselves out for a day at one trade, and go a month like that, they would make money, they would progress so much, and they probably wouldn't go back to the same habits they were. And that is what it's so sad. It is that simple of a fix for most people. Pretty much every single interview I've done on here, and we've done a lot, I would say about half, when they moved to that is when they started making money. 2 buttons, clicking 2 lockout buttons can change your life. But yet people will not make that step. People will not make that step because they have such an addiction. They have such an addiction, such a dopamine addiction. And that is the sad part. That is the sad part. But again, all you have to do, I don't know what the data is, how many days it takes to break a habit. I think it's like 25, 28, or to start to form a new habit. But that's all you need to do. You have to break that dopamine addiction, start forming a new healthy addiction to actual trades, to discipline, and work towards that. And over time, I'm telling you, all you have to do is just break the cycle once, stick with it for a month. There's a reason why I talked about 30 trade challenge. Again, I'll get still countless DMs to the day saying, hey, I actually followed 30 trades of all my rules. I'm making money now. I'm profitable now. That is how simple it can be for most of y'all. Again, it's just iterating the same stuff over and over again. But I hope maybe it was a little bit of a wake-up call, or you start to understand, or you start to implement. Again, I'm not sure. It is up to your choice, but I hope that helped, and I'll catch y'all in the next video, guys. Peace.